for this talklet's conversation. Have you ever wondered, why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? I mean, what was God trying to prevent? Now, as you're thinking about that question, let me back up just a little bit, because I can already see there's a flaw in that question. Why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? That's okay. But what was he trying to prevent? That word trying bothers me. So let me change that, because that's just not a good statement. That's not a good phrase. Instead of saying what was God trying to prevent, let me just say it this way. What was God warning us about when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? That's a lot better. What was God warning us about when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah? You ponder that for a moment. Back in 2014, there was a movie, a sci-fi adventure action movie that was created. And the star was Tom Cruise. His name was Major William Cage in the movie. And he was a officer in the military. And there was this alien attack, and they were killing everybody. They were destroying Earth. I mean, you had China, Russia, Japan, United States, Africa. We were all fighting against these aliens. And Major William Cage, who had no military experience, was called into duty. It's all hands on deck, because we're getting annihilated. And so you got to push everyone in. Even though he doesn't have any military training, he has to go fight. And so he steps up to this suicide mission. And as soon as he's placed into the battlefield, he's killed within minutes. And he finds himself going through what's called a time loop, which is forcing him to live this brutal comeback battle every day. I mean, he gets killed and he wakes up and he starts back over. He gets killed and he wakes up and he starts fighting again. He gets killed and he wakes up again and he starts fighting again. But watch this, watch this. Every time he goes through this time loop, through what I call a reset, he's learning more and more about combat. He's getting closer and closer to learning how to defeat his enemies, because he keeps waking up and he's got a little bit more experience. He's got just a little bit more knowledge. He's got just a little bit more wisdom. He's got just a little bit more courage. He's got just a little bit more faith. But he understands that, hey, I'm getting closer and closer. And the closer you get, yeah, the more wiser you become. Yes, the more courageous you become as well. And so as he gets closer and closer to defeating the enemy, he keeps resetting day after day. Go with me to the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 5. As I talk about resetting, as I talk about this time loop that we all go through each and every day as we wake up and go to sleep, wake up and go to sleep. Let's see what type of reset God did in Noah's days. We're told that God saw the wickedness of man was great upon the earth. And every imagination, every thought in man's heart was continually evil. We're told that God repented that he had made man on the earth. So God decided, let me destroy all of mankind and all the animal kingdom as well. Let me just start this thing back over, because this ain't working. And we're told that Noah found grace in the eyes of God. Wow. I pray that I find grace in God's eyes. We're told that he was perfect in his generation, and that Noah walked with God. Are you walking with God this morning? Noah was a righteous man. And I pray that's where you are, a righteous woman, a righteous man. So God told Noah, he said, go build me an ark, because I'm going to destroy the earth with the flood. And in doing so, God did a reset with Noah and his family. God performed a time loop, if you will, with Noah and his family. He started the day over again, if you will, with Noah and his family. And then we read in Genesis chapter 18, verse 20 through 24. I'm just going to kind of highlight this, so stay with me. The Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, God is saying, I'm going to step out of heaven. Listen to this. And he's coming with two angels. He's going to step out of heaven. I want to see if what I'm hearing is what I'm going to be seeing. Now, we know God don't have to step out anywhere. He can see from where he's at. But God's making a point to you and I. I told you he's giving us a warning about why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, I'm going to step out. I'm going to go down and see if the cry that I'm hearing, if it's really that bad. Is it really that bad? Because, some people can just exaggerate some things. So God wants to come see for himself. And so God tells Abraham what he's planning to do. And Abraham confronts God and says, hey, God, come on, this doesn't sound like you. I mean, would you kill the righteous with the wicked? And Abraham says, let me just ask you a question. Let me just, if you will, let me negotiate with you for a moment. What if I go find 50 righteous people? Will you spare Sodom and Gomorrah? God says, yes, I will. Go ahead. Abraham sitting there thinking for a moment, hold up, maybe there's not 50 since he said that so fast. So he says, what about 40? What about 30? What about 20? And he gets to thinking, because he's negotiating. He says, well, you know what? Hold up. Lot's over there with his wife and his two virgin daughters, and he has other daughters. And so he's got son-in-law. So that's 10 righteous right there. He says, Lord, what if I find 10 righteous in Sodom and Gomorrah? Will you spare Sodom and Gomorrah? And God said, word, if you find 10, I will spare Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham is banking on Lot, his wife, his two virgin daughters, and his other daughters with their husbands. But the angels goes into the city, you know the story, and they can't find 10 righteous. Can you find 10 righteous in your family? Are there 10 people that you could call upon right now in your family that you would bank on? Yeah, that you would gamble on, if you will, that you would put your life on the line for? That's righteous. I mean, so it begs to ask the question, what were all the issues with Sodom and Gomorrah? I mean, we've heard of some of the unnatural, if you will, sexual behaviors that they were engaged in. I mean, come on, men having sex with men, women having sex with women. It became boring from what we're hearing. It became very boring, if you will. And they started having sex with minors and having sex with animals and having sex with different spouses. I mean, they really started engaging in adultery and fornication and all type of molestation and rape. I mean, that's what was happening. And so God was hearing that cry. But let's not get it twisted. See, we focus on all the sexual appetite of Sodom and Gomorrah, but that's just a distraction because there's other things that was going on as well. Like there's other things that's going on with you. You don't mind ignoring that because you want to ignore what's happening with you. And you don't want anyone casting a stone at you. So when you listen to the readings or the writings of the prophets in the Bible, you realize there was a lot more going on. When you listen to the prophet Isaiah, the prophet Jeremiah, the prophet Amos, the prophet Zephaniah, Apostle Peter, the book of Judges, Jude, prophet Ezekiel. I mean, when you listen to Moses in the book of Genesis, I mean, they spoke about how they were oppressing the poor. Yeah, there was sexual immorality. We get that one. There was unnatural lust. We get that one. But there was violence. There was disgraceful of how they treated strangers. I mean, there was so much going on: murder, theft, adultery, idolatry, the abuse of power, pridefulness, the arrogance. And this is the one that really hits us all. They were so full. Yeah, they were so blessed. The city was so blessed. They were so full that they were full of their sexual appetite and they wanted something different. And so they started experimenting with different things. And that's why they wanted to have sex with the angels that God sent over to destroy the city, to bring Lot out of the city. So that's why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It's because they were full of immorality in every area of their lives, not just one, not just sex, in every area. So you have to ask yourself the question right now, where are we? I mean, as it relates to the reset, if you will, the time loop. I mean, God destroyed the entire world. And then he came back and he destroyed two cities about the same size as Dallas and Fort Worth. So where are we? Let me tell you where we are. Our flesh is still enjoying itself. That's where we are. We're out here in these streets and we're fornicating. Men having sex with men, women having sex with women, I'm just telling you, this is what's happening. Men and married couples are having sex with married couples, call it swinging or something like that. I mean, that's what's going on. You've got older men having sex with younger children. I mean, we're bored of what we're doing. People having sex with animals. I mean, it's happening, guys. Come on. Don't be so naive. Men and women are pleasuring themselves with different tools and devices, all type of toys, and they think it's cute. I'm telling you, we're doing what they were doing. Yes, we are. And probably worse. Probably worse. Orgies all over the place. I mean, your son, your son by the age of 20 possibly have had 20 different sex partners by now. Your daughters by the age of 20, you don't want to hear this, but more than likely she's had 20 different sex partners by now with different and same genders. I mean, it's on and popping, as they would say. And so you ask, where are we in relate to this reset, this time loop? Well, guess what? We're no better than Sodom and Gomorrah. This flesh is calling out to please itself. And your spirit inside of this flesh, see, that's that cry. That's what God came down to hear. Well, what's crying out so loud? Is it this flesh? No. No, this flesh ain't crying. This flesh is enjoying itself. It's fulfilling every lust that it has. I mean, look at your family, look at your friends, just look at people flying all over the world, traveling everywhere to fulfill all of their sexual fantasies, their sexual appetites. That's what's taking place. God has to reset us. Let's deal with this cry that God hears that brings them out of glory, that brings them down. You have to ask yourself the question, is this cry from the saints or from the sinners? Well, from what I'm reading, from what I'm hearing, this cry was from sinners because Abraham couldn't find 10 righteous over in Sodom and Gomorrah, not even his own nephew and his family. He couldn't find 10. So this is a cry. It's a cry that's a noise that you normally wouldn't hear. You wouldn't want to hear. Let's put it that way. As a matter of fact, I told you that Sodom and Gomorrah, as an example, the size of Fort Worth and Dallas, if you will. And so just think about this sin that's happening, all this sin, this eerie sound that's coming out of these two cities, and it reaches the ear of God. It's like a baby with a bad ear infection. You know how loud that baby's going to cry? Because an ear infection is painful for a baby. It's like you putting your fingernails up on the chalkboard and screeching it, running it down. Screech. That's the cry that God was hearing. And God said, you know what? This is an unusual cry. Let me go down and peek at this. Let me go see if this is really happening. And when he comes down, he's proven right. This cry is so nasty. It is so despicable. And we have the audacity to ask, why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because they're crying out to him. Now watch this. I told you these are sinners crying, if you will. This is what this is. But keep in mind, everyone has a soul. But this flesh is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to go back to the dust. But that spirit inside of you, yeah, that spirit is crying, even in sinners. That spirit is being suppressed. I mean, that flesh is just growing and growing and growing and growing, and that spirit is just decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. That's what's being snuffed out. That's what's crying also, going up. See, all the pleasure of this flesh is crying out loud and celebrating. But that spirit is crying inside. And God is saying, what's happening? I mean, that spirit should be building and building, and that flesh should be decreasing, but it's not. And that's why Sodom and Gomorrah had to go. You don't want that increasing throughout the earthly realm. You don't want that, not that kind of sin. All that immorality, you don't want that. No, you don't need that. Look at where we are now. There's 9 billion people estimated on the face of the earth right now. Now think about 9 billion people spinning out of control, like we are, fulfilling all the desires of their flesh. Yeah. And God hears all of this coming up again in his ears. Sinners and saints crying out all over the place. You can find 10 now. Oh, you can find 10 saints. Yeah, you can find 10 righteous. I truly believe that. but both are crying. We're crying out, God, when are you coming back? God, when, Lord? And the sinners are crying, party, party. Keep in mind now, it took decades, I do mean decades, for Sodom and Gomorrah to get this bad. I mean, it took a lifetime for it to get this bad. But with the advent, with the invention of the internet and social media, it only takes a fraction of a second for sin to be just sent all over the world through social media, through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, it just spreads within a matter of seconds. So, what was God warning us about? Yeah, it's right now. It's right now. I mean, when you think about it, every New Year's Eve, there's a reset that the world does. All these New Year resolutions. I'm going to do this better. I'm going to be better. I mean, we're all trying to be better. We get caught up in this time loop, if you will, of celebrating one day, of making changes. Every day you wake up should be a reset. Every day. God has blessed you to wake up every day to be better than you were the day before, because you know so much now. You should be so much better now because you've got a chance to reset, to make this day, as Tom Cruise was fighting, as Major Cage was fighting. He wake up every day and he learned more. He get more knowledge. He get more wisdom. He get more understanding. I pray that's you. I pray you're not wasting your days and not growing and knowing. I pray that you're being benefited by living on this earth that God has blessed you with. Breath in your body. Yes. To get up and move and to be better, to become better. That's what we all should be. That's what we all should be searching for, is how do we become better? Noah was a righteous man and he found grace in the eyes of God. I pray that you raise your family up to be righteous individuals so that they can find grace in the eyes of God. What was God trying to prevent? And I'll tell you the word trying. God was trying to prevent you from going to hell. And I pray that you listen. I pray that you reset, that you change, from your behavior, from your immorality. I pray that you become a better person for yourself and for your family, for the kingdom. I pray that you be that light that's shining bright up on a hill. I pray that you don't waste your time. God sent his only begotten Son, his beloved Son, Jesus Christ, so that you and I, we could reset again and again and again. See, every day we wake up, we get a chance to reset. We get a chance to keep resetting, keep going through this time loop. We get a chance to get better, to learn more. To keep working on ourselves, to keep being developed, to keep witnessing, to keep having a great testimony over and over again until we're finally ready. Yes, I'm talking to you sinners as well. Until you're finally ready to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Until you're finally ready to believe in your heart that God has raised them from the dead. See, that's why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, because he wanted this world to reset itself. He wanted us to be in this time loop so that we could have an opportunity to make it into heaven, to eternity with him. Because the way we were going, we won't make it. None of us would. But God is so good. He's so merciful and he's so graceful. And he is who he say he is. God is God. I pray that you start waking up every morning and you start resetting. You start becoming better because you know better. And so therefore you can do better. I pray that you don't these days be wasted. I pray that each morning you wake up with that reset in mind, that you get up again and you go at it again and you keep on plugging at it. You keep on working at it. You keep on using that knowledge that you get, that wisdom that you obtain. You keep on using all of those gifts and blessing that God's pouring into you, that you keep using it and not abusing it. See, those who don't learn, those who don't grow, you're abusing what God has given you. All the days that he's breathing in your body, you're abusing that. If you want to use this, then use it the right way. Reset every morning and become better and not bitter. In Jesus' name, you be blessed.